Hello everyone and welcome back King Recap. Today's recap is all about an anime called He Eighth Son. Are you kidding me? During the wedding of his oldest brother Kurt and his wife Amelie, a Japanese salaryman falls asleep before awakening in the body of a 5-year-old noble boy named Wendelin Bonbeno Baumeister. Wendelin discovers that the Baumeisters are poor and only own a small night dome of farmlands that will be inherited by Kurt, while the rest of his 6 older brothers have either married into other families or found work as government officials or soldiers, leaving him with nothing to inherit. Wendelin discovers his ability to use magic after discovering a book on magic in his father's library. While looking for firewood for his family in the nearby enchanted forest, Wendelin meets a sorcerer named Alfred Rainford, who detects the boy's magic. Before finishing it, Alfred assists him in using his magic on the wild boar and promises to teach him how to use magic. Wendelin decides to keep his magic hidden after learning that it would put him ahead of Kurt in line to inherit the lordship, putting him at risk of assassination by Kurt. Alfred discovers Wendelin has an incredibly powerful magical ability. As the training progresses, Alfred exhibits unusual symptoms such as cold skin, loss of taste and bouts of pain. Wendelin's strange behavior catches Kurt's attention until Wendelin declares his desire to be an adventurer, which makes Kurt less suspicious. Wendelin decides to work to pay for his own tuition at the kingdom's Adventurers Academy. Alfred teaches Wendelin flight magic to help him travel. Wendelin's father hears a whispering dead rumor nearby, a sentient corpse doomed to become a mindless zombie. Wendelin realizes he is referring to Alfred and confronts him. Alfred admits he died during a failed expedition but returned as a whispering dead to teach an apprentice. After that, he teaches Wendelin holy magic to purge him and allow him to enter the afterlife. Wendelin leaves his family 7 years later to become an adventurer. Wendelin tries to make friends at Adventurers Academy, but the other students are too afraid to approach him due to his lack of communication skills, high level of magic and incredible actions. Erwin, Louise and Ina, 3 students, share a bond as the youngest children of lower-class families. They attempt to hunt a large pack of wolves in order to gain Wendelin's recognition and form a party with him, but are overwhelmed until Wendelin rescues them. Because of a misunderstanding, the 3 believe Wendelin regards them as a burden when in fact he wishes to befriend them. Their class goes to a party hosted by Duke Bleakroter, who is interested in Wendelin because his father is a vassal of Bleakroter. To their surprise, Wendelin invites Erwin, Louise and Ina to join him. They discover that Bleakroter arranged for them to meet his court wizard, Brantic Lingstad, Alfred's former teacher, who confirms his suspicions that Alfred passed his knowledge to Wendelin. Realizing Wendelin is similar to them, Erwin, Louise and Ina agree to be Wendelin's friends and form an adventure party. Wendelin is rewarded 1,000 gold coins and inherits Alfred's estate for returning possessions and the expedition's resources to Bleakroter, much to everyone's surprise. Wendelin and his friends have been invited to his brother Eric's wedding in the capital of the kingdom. When an undead bone dragon attacks their airship, Brantic orders Wendelin to use holy magic to cleanse the dragon before collecting the valuable bones and crystal heart. Brantic abandons them in the capital city of Stubberg with his merchant friend Eritario Merkin. Soldiers bring Wendelin to the king, who awards him the Twin Dragon Medal and the noble rank of baronet for defeating the bone dragon, making Wendelin one of the nobles of the robe. Eric is concerned because their father is only a knight, which means Wendelin will be removed from their family tree to lead his own noble family. Several officials start bickering over how much to pay Wendelin for the bones and heart. Eritario explains that Cardinal Hohenheim wants Wendelin to be influenced by the church, Lord Marshal Edgar wants him in the military, and Lord Commissioner Ruckner wants to save money. Wendelin is eventually paid 150,000 gold. Wendelin attends Eric's wedding but discovers that his family is so poor that they are unable to provide a suitable wedding gift, embarrassing themselves and their lord, Duke Blackroder, so Wendelin purchases the gifts. Eritario locates the komi-kuji that Wendelin was looking for in order to make miso, which she uses to prepare dinner for his family and friends. Cardinal Hohenheim informs Saint Elise Hohenheim that he has found her a suitable husband. Hohenheim introduces Wendelin to Elise and then tricks Wendelin into forming a political marriage with Elise due to his naivete. Wendelin is terrified of marrying a woman he does not love, but Eric assures him that nobles rarely meet their betrothed until the wedding. He hires a grateful Erwin as his retainer because he is surrounded by unemployed adventurers every time he leaves his house. Wendelin sneaks into Hohenheim's estate to speak with Elise and is relieved that she is not opposed to marrying him. After discovering Erwin is Wendelin's retainer, Louise and Ina decide to outdo him by becoming Wendelin's mistresses after he marries Elise. Wendelin is invited to dinner with Elise, and the butler suggests that Wendelin purchase an engagement ring for Elise. Wendelin takes Elise shopping, but instead of a showy ring, he buys a much plainer ring that suits Elise better, later discovering it is made from a magic storing crystal, making it ideal for Elise's healing magic. Wendelin expresses concern about living up to his dragon-slaying reputation while still feeling insecure about himself. Elise develops feelings for him. The butler informs Hohenheim that Wendelin is an unusual noble and that he has no idea what he is thinking. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Wendelin's only thought is how much he misses Japanese soy sauce. Elise pays visits to Louise, Ina, and Erwin to learn more about Wendelin, while the king asks Wendelin and Brantic to slay Grigoland, an ancient dragon whose territory the kingdom needs for farmland. Klimt Christoph von Armstrong, his enthusiastic and brawny court wizard, is also dispatched. Meanwhile, fearing that Grigoland's death will embolden nearby monsters, Erwin, Louise, and Ina hire unemployed adventurers to help guard the area, with Elise and the church's clergy serving as healers. Grigoland is defeated by Wendelin and Armstrong, and Wendelin collects the valuable body. The monsters attack the soldiers after learning of Grigoland's death, forcing Wendelin and his friends to join the fight. Elise, knowing Wendelin considers himself a coward but nevertheless joins the battle, is relieved he is a truly good man and finally passes out from exhaustion after he returns safely. Wendelin takes care of her until she awakens, only to discover Armstrong is her uncle. Elise asks the next day if Louise and Ina are also his fiancées because they all live in the same house, and Wendelin is surprised to learn she doesn't mind if he has concubines. Both Louise and Ina declare their desire to be his concubines, and with Elise's support, Wendelin reluctantly agrees. When Wendelin is facing the dragon, he is referred to as Baron, indicating that he has earned a promotion. Wendelin learns at his brother Helmut's wedding that he is expected to compete in a martial arts tournament, but as a noble, he must use a sword rather than magic. Louise and Ina decide to join in as well. Brantak persuades Erwin to take part. Wendelin obtains Hohenheim's permission to add Elise to their party. Erwin decides he wants to be champion until he realizes the previous champion, Warren, commander of the Royal Knights, is participating again and snaps at Louise and Ina because he is bitter about his lack of magic. The next day, he discovers Elise has been training as well, believing her lack of physical ability is a hindrance. Erwin apologizes, realizing that everyone has flaws. Wendelin faces Warren in the preliminary matches and loses instantly. Louise loses in the semi-finals. Ina loses to Roderick, an annoyingly stubborn spear user who is obsessed with being hired by Wendelin. Erwin must face Warren and is concerned that if he loses, Wendelin will kick him out of their party, so Louise shows him an inspirational lunch Wendelin prepared, demonstrating that Wendelin values him for more than his fighting abilities. Though it is implied that Erwin lost to Warren, Warren agrees to train Erwin until he reaches the age of 15 and becomes a full-time adventurer. Ina also finds a spear trainer and Louise introduces Wendelin to Armstrong, her martial arts trainer, who offers to train them until they reach the age of 15. 3 years later, Kurt, Wendelin's eldest brother, receives word from Lord Commissioner Ruckner's brother, Baron Ruckner, that Wendelin has died. After Wendelin turns 15 and registers their adventurer party as the Dragonbusters, the king dispatches them to investigate ancient ruins. According to Brantak, The ruins were discovered in Grigoland's territory, and many high-ranking adventurers have vanished. When they enter, they unintentionally activate a magical circle that transports them to the bottom floor, forcing them to fight their way to the surface through an army of golems. 5 days later, head auditor Ruckner spreads rumors that Wendelin has died, and as part of his plan to succeed his brother as Lord Commissioner, he proposes that Kurt's sons inherit Wendelin's title of Baron. Elise tells Wendelin that she hopes they survive, because she will regret not marrying him if they don't. They come across a dragon golem made of mithril scales. Brantak runs out of magic and collapses, so Elise bestows the spell Miracle's Light on Wendelin with a kiss, and Wendelin defeats the dragon. Brantak discovers that the ruins were built by the ancient mage Count Etchelberg, who is well known for his work, creating magical items. They also come across a massive library and a hangar full of priceless ancient airships. Erwin opens the hangar doors, indicating that they have reached the surface. The king pays the Dragonbusters 10 million gold for the treasures of the ruins. Wendelin decides to relocate their home to Breachburg in order to launch their adventuring careers, but Armstrong reveals the rumors about Wendelin's death, prompting him to realize their success has attracted enemies. Wendelin's assassination is planned by Baron Ruckner and his allies. Wendelin hires Roderick as his butler to manage the estate in the capital, while Wilma, a pink-haired girl, begins following Wendelin. Wendelin meets the leader of the Magic Guild, Lucas Gottsbeckenbauer, and borrows an artifact that can summon any item. Wendelin hosts a party for his friends, family, and important nobles, serving summoned tuna sushi with soy sauce. Roderick tells Wendelin about Ruckner, including his attempt to involve Kurt in his plot, but assures Wendelin that he has arranged for Ruckner to be summoned by the king for questioning, while also admitting that he is Ruckner's illegitimate son but despises him for his cruelty. Lord Marshal Edgar reveals Wilma is his adopted daughter and she suffers from hero syndrome, which, according to Brantak, constantly overpowers her muscles, resulting in a massive appetite. Edgar proposes Wendelin Wilma as a bodyguard or even a wife. Duke Bleakroter asks Wendelin to take on monsters looking for work. Meanwhile, Kurt receives false news of Wendelin's death and rejoices at inheriting Wendelin's survival. Brantak informs Wendelin's father, Sir Arthur, that the deceased expedition army, of which Alfred Rainford was a member, has become zombies. Arthur is entitled to 30% of any profit made from the zombies' materials because they are on their land, but Kurt greedily demands 50% and insists on the zombies and their belongings being left in the forest instead of being properly buried. Wendelin realizes Kurt's hatred and jealousy for his success, and he is despised by the servants and villagers, who would prefer Wendelin inherit the lordship. Wendelin and his friends cleanse the zombies, including Duke Bleakroter's father and Marlene, the wife of Wendelin's brother Herman's lich grandfather. Wendelin assures her grandfather Marlene that she is living a happy life, and he gratefully allows Elise to purify him. Wendelin returns the villagers' relatives' armor to them for funerals, but Kurt demands that the armor be melted down and reused. Wendelin provides new iron so that the villagers can keep their armor, which irritates Kurt. Duke Bleakroter surprises Wendelin by insisting on staying with his family for a while, despite the fact that he is clearly plotting something. Wendelin attends the funerals of the soldiers, whereas Kurt ignores the villagers. Klaus, the village chief, secretly requests that Wendelin replace Kurt, and Brantak agrees, pointing out that due to Bleakroter's insistence that Wendelin stay with his family, the entire royal court, including the king, implicitly desires that Wendelin replace Kurt. Brantak explains that the king wishes to develop the surrounding land, but is unable to do so due to current land ownership and low-ranking lords such as Sir Arthur. Instead, the royal court has been driving Kurt insane with jealousy over Wendelin in secret, so that when he snaps, he will be deposed as heir. Wendelin refuses to participate because it would mean depriving his nephews of their inheritance. Klaus warns Brantak to be wary of Amelie, Kurt's wife, who will go to any length to protect her sons. Wendelin learns that Kurt will be assassinated after Wendelin ascends to the throne in order to keep him from causing trouble in the future. Wendelin attempts to make a proposal to Kurt that would allow Kurt to become lord while allowing Wendelin to develop the land, but Kurt is blinded by jealousy and declines. With no other choice, Wendelin decides to become lord, but warns his friends that he tends to defy the royal court by ensuring that no one dies as a result. Wendelin establishes a bazaar to provide better resources to the villagers and then bribes Kurt's shop-owning allies with advanced training in their various crafts in order to improve their businesses and break their reliance on Kurt. He also purchases a home in the capital for Amelie and his nephews in the hopes that Cardinal Hohenheim will exile Kurt to a monastery, giving the court no reason to assassinate him. With no allies left, Kurt goes insane and plans to murder Wendelin. Kurt is given a magical weapon known as the Dragon's Flute by one of Baron Ruckner's men. Kurt lures Wendelin and company to an empty clearing in a forest in the undeveloped land with the magical Dragon's Flute, which summons a horde of dragons. Kurt plays the flute to kill the party and punish the entire region, including his own family, for betraying him after mocking Wendelin and Brantuch's failed attempt to stop him. The flute quickly becomes clear to the companions that it is not summoning a horde of dragons, but rather channeling all the land's malice into Kurt, transforming him into a mass of undead. Wendelin, initially shocked by the prospect of killing his brother, reluctantly assists Elise in purifying Kurt. With his body destroyed, the small piece of Kurt's malice searches for and kills the nobles responsible for his death, including Baron Ruckner and their families. After the kingdom's quest to repair the troubled lands is completed, the king grants Wendelin the right to bestow 2 titles on whoever he chooses and raises his rank to Count, the kingdom's 5th rank, bypassing the rank of Viscount. Returning to the land, he informs Amelie that when his nephews reach the age of majority, he will bestow titles on each of them if they require them. She then informs Wendelin that the boys will realize that Kurt's death was entirely his choice and not Wendelin's fault. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next video.